Hello, good afternoon. Welcome everyone. I'm just giving everyone an opportunity to jump on and we will start very shortly. It's great to see the numbers increase. Lovely. So welcome everyone. Great to see you all take time to join this afternoon. I'm Anoushka Dossa, Director of Recruitment at Creative Access, and really delighted and privileged to be hosting this webinar on supporting you perfect your application for a placement at the British Library. So whilst the chat pane is open, it might be a lovely idea to see where everyone is dialing in from, and you can drop your location in the chat pane below. Let's see where we have people. Exeter, brilliant. Welcome, Rosie. Vidhi, hi from the Midlands. Adiz, Mary, Newcastle. Oh, wow, this is brilliantly regional. Canterbury, London, Canada. Wow, what's the time there? Very early in the morning or in the middle of the night, perhaps. Awesome, super. Right, so well, let's kind of go straight into it. I don't know if you know a huge amount about Creative Access. So for those who are unfamiliar with what we do, we are a social enterprise that's all about making the creative industries more representative of what the UK looks like today. And that means working with hugely talented individuals and employers to offer career inspiration, opportunities, and training at all points in your career. Today's webinar is specifically about 5 amazing placement opportunities with the UK's most historic library and archival institutes, the British Library. The application deadline for these placements is the 5th of July, and we will share the link for you to apply at the end if you haven't already done so. On another note, we are just so proud to be partnering with the British Library, and hopefully you'll leave this webinar feeling confident about the role and how to apply, and you'll understand a little bit more about what to expect in the process if you do bag yourself the role. We will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end, so please do use the Q&A pane to submit any questions that you might have. And we've already had quite a number come through to both us and the British Library, which we'll be referring to as a starting point once we've chatted more to the panelists, who, moving on to the panelists, are industry expert speakers. We're joined by firstly Gemma Lunn, who is the Early Careers Officer at the British Library based near Leeds, and is arranging the programme and will be our point of contact for these placements. We also are joined by Jas Rai, Head of People, again based in London and championing the programme as a senior leader. Maragh, who is the Early Careers Apprentice at the British Library near Leeds and supports Gemma on early careers, but is also on the early careers path herself as business admin apprentice and started in August. And finally, we have Sally Malone, who is a marketing apprentice, again, based near Leeds, working on customer services and also started in August. So do you want to talk a little bit more about your roles individually, and then we can start off with some interesting facts about you and what you're doing there? Gemma?
Yeah, I can go first. So hi everyone, it's really nice to have loads of you join us today. So my name's Gemma. I work at the British Library in Boston Spa, so that's based in between Leeds and York. I spend a lot of my time working with my colleagues down in London as well. So as part of my role as Early Careers Officer, I will be looking after this training placement scheme. So I'll be the first person that you get in contact if you're successful, and I'll be spending some time with those people successful on the scheme. And I'm currently arranging everything that will go on during the placement, and making sure it's going to be a really exciting opportunity for everyone.
Lovely. Move on to Jas.
Yeah, hi, welcome everybody. It's great to be part of this firstly. My name is Jas Rai. I've got a bit of an unusual job title. I'm the head of people, which to some people is quite a confusing title. I'm based at the British Library and I'm based in St Pancras in London. It's the building, quite an iconic building. I think some people love it, some people hate it, but it is modelled on a ship. So next time you're in the area, have a look at that. So what do I do? Head of people, it basically means for myself and my team, we're responsible for supporting everyone before they join the library, like now, and supporting them through their life at the library, and then helping them, I guess, if and when they choose to leave. So everything from paying people, which is a very important one, to developing them. So today, this is an initiative that's really been led by Gemma, by the early careers team, who are part of the people team at the British Library.
Amazing, thank you. Sally.
Hello, Kim and I are both apprentices. We both started in August, but I am in the marketing department. I am based mostly up north in Boston Spa, where we keep the vast majority of the books and newspapers that the British Library stores, but I also work quite frequently in St Pancras.
Lovely, thank you, Sally. And Kim.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim. I'm the early careers apprentice. I spend most of my time with Gemma in the early careers team. At the moment, we are doing work experience placement, so we're interacting with quite a few departments around the library, and we will be at a careers event in Leeds next week as well. So we've got quite a lot going on in our department.
Yeah, busy times. So let's delve a little deeper into, individual career journeys, into, your roles at the British Library and perhaps some highlights. Kim, would you like to talk us through your journey and tell us a bit about, placing fresh talent into the organisation, and, how do new joiners gain confidence, and maybe a little bit more about their sort of career progression and path?
My career journey is basically mainly based in retail. So I have a lot of experience in retail at team member level, in managerial positions, but I just didn't want to stay in it. I'm quite a creative person, so I wanted to have some aspect of that in my job role. I didn't think I had enough skills to get into another job. I wasn't sure about an apprenticeship either, because I didn't know if it would go with my personal life. It just so happened that I'd made a Bookstagram page because I enjoy reading, and an advert popped up for the British Library, and I thought, I probably won't get it, but if you don't shoot for it, you'll never get it. And I did, and thankfully they wanted to hear from me, so I did my interview and I got the role in the early careers team. I'm really enjoying my experience. I did think I was going to struggle a lot. Based on my previous experience, I've kind of been put into a job role and abandoned through training, so to speak. So I've kind of picked up as I've learned. I've not been failed by anybody in the library so far. And that's other departments as well that are willing to help. So while I'm in the early careers team, the wider people team are also willing to assist. You have the curators who are always willing to talk about their job role. I've had an opportunity to learn quite a lot of things, particularly skills that I haven't used since school. For example, IT. We do have a lot of programs that run to help build those skills, not just for apprentices. They're for everybody in the library, because we really do promote learning and development within the library, and that's right up my street. So I think it's been a really good experience for me.
Yeah, no, those are great points, because often people can get daunted by what they see on on description, and actually just to dispel those fears, it really is about you don't necessarily have to have any prerequisite skills. It's just an interest or passion in a particular area, and using any skills that you have that, might not be bang on, but actually just being able to transfer them over. Sally, how about you?
So I came fresh from uni. I am in my early 30s, but I went to university late because I was independent from 16, which meant working a lot to afford to live. Yeah, so from 16 to 24, I worked pretty solidly, but they were I did some work in primary schools, which I enjoyed, but wasn't what I wanted to do. Other than that, it was more shops and nightclubs, that kind of thing, all of which was fine, but not what I ultimately wanted to do. I really wanted to return to uni not return to try uni, which, as I say, I managed to at 24. So I was in uni till the pandemic hit, and graduated just as the pandemic hit, which was a bit of a anticlimax. But yeah, and then was on Job Seekers, and Gemma actually visited my Job Seekers, but I'd already seen the advert on Instagram by then and was really hopeful. But spending any time on Job Seekers will really highlight the things. Often reading job description after job description and seeing things you don't have, for instance, I had no experience working in an office, can be very daunting, and that's something I learned here, and I'm really grateful to that because I can now put it on my CV. Yeah, this was my first sort of office-based role.
Yeah. And what about candidates that might come from a neurodivergent background? How do how is that supported?
I think I honestly think it's a great place for neurodiverse people to work because, as I said, I was looking for work for a year or so. I was part-time, looking for part-time work, and luckily this came up the minute I went full-time. So it was a bit serendipitous. But a huge thing I looked for when I was looking for work is whether it would be autistic person friendly or neurodiverse friendly. Because, for instance, it can be taken for granted noise levels, things like that. And you can often be pressured into taking roles wouldn't be good for your mental health, because autism can affect your mental health quite badly. And so if I was in a place with a lot of noise, I knew it wouldn't work out, basically. So I didn't want to apply for those roles. And the library is great for that. It's a lovely, peaceful, quiet place, I suppose, because of the trope of libraries. Even though it's not a lending library, you still expect someone to turn up and shush you. But it's lovely. So both Boston Spa and surprisingly St Pancras are quite peaceful places to work. It really helps for that. But also the staff are very aware of there are other neurodiverse people in my team, at least, and they're everyone's very considerate to your needs.
And those needs are identified at the start. So presumably you have like wellness action plans where you can speak to your line manager about creating that environment where you feel you'll be able to excel and flourish.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. The wellness action plan. Tasha, my supervisor, we did them in the first week, got them out of the way early, and also we review them if necessary, because it can be easy. I'm not an expert either on myself or on my autism, and so if something comes up and I'm like, oh, actually that is kind of affecting me, I didn't know, but lesson learned, I can tell Tasha that it's not a final thing in the first week. You don't have to come in an expert on yourself and your experience, which is really wonderful.
Yeah, and it's learning by experience, because at entry level, you're not used to being in an office environment, and so you're learning all the time. And so to have that flexibility is, it's important.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, how about Gemma?
Yeah, so I guess I've had a bit of a varied career story as well. I went to university straight after school, but I did originally plan to do medicine. So I went to medical school and decided to leave that there and in the past. So then I moved, got a job at the British Library after I graduated. And after about a year, I moved into the people team. So I've been working in the early careers team for about 4 years now, and we've been working on all sorts of different schemes. So we brought in apprenticeships back in 2017. So we're kind of fairly experienced in that realm now. We've had, I think, about 100 apprentices come through over the last 4 or 5 years. And then now it's really exciting to be working on new schemes like this training placement to bring lots of new talent into the organisation. And hopefully we're really hopeful that after those on the placement, after they finish, they really enjoy it and decide to apply for other roles with us, so we can keep people in the organisation.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we really strive to do at the library is, although we maybe don't have longer contracts, so this placement scheme is short, we really want you to make the most of the time with us and learn as much as possible, so you're in a really comfortable position for applying for any of our other roles that we have on offer.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously they'd be able to apply to those as their, as their placement is coming to an end. And actually Creative Access, we do support candidates. So in the event that there aren't any positions, we'd be able to support candidates to be able to use that experience as a launch pad and look at other roles and put a new and revised CV together with all of the wonderful experiences that they've had and kind of put that forward for new opportunities. Jas, how about you?
Wow, so I'm going to have to wind back a few years, but first of all, a shout out to you, who's at Canterbury University. I don't know you, but I went there as well. So fantastic location. I mean, yeah, it's when you work in HR. I mean, I fell into HR 20 years ago now, and kind of stuck in there. Similar role to Gemma, really, and just progressed my way up to being a senior leader at the British Library, and worked in all sorts of sectors, mainly tech sectors, actually, for a very famous company that does a lot of movies and tech and games consoles and things. So yeah, and then ended up here 3 years ago now. So I started during the pandemic, which was really painful, actually. So trying to understand and work with a team at a time when we didn't really understand ourselves and work. So yeah, a really, really difficult time, a really interesting, squiggly career, I'd say, but always within a kind of people focus, dipping in and out. And I tend to be at companies for about 7 years. That's my tenure, and when I typically stop learning. So I thought it might be good to share with you a little bit about life at the British Library, if that's okay, Anoushka. And it's not really your typical library. Firstly, you can't just walk in and pick up a book. And I think that was the biggest shock to me, actually, and to most people that visit us. It's more of a place to research, to see, to read and feel and find things that you just don't find on Google. That's probably the easiest way of putting it. So whether that's a book or a scripture or a map or an article or an image or a newspaper, Sally said, or a piece of music, you name it, we'd have it within our collections, and our collections grow bigger day by day as we acquire more and more. It's a really exciting time to be part of the British Library because it's actually 50 years old today, this year even. Don't know the exact date, but it's definitely this year. So relatively young compared to other museums and libraries, although there's a lot of history as we were parts of other organisations before. We've got about 1,500 employees, which people are quite surprised by, and around 1.6 million visitors through our doors every year. So they're people that are looking for something unique and special. And I guess staff, we're going to have many jobs and many career opportunities. So from front of house to serving our users, to community engagement, So like working really closely with communities around Leeds, Boston Spa, St Pancras, Somerstown, on all sorts around access, inclusion, learning team, fantastic area where they deliver kind of training and support and really interesting lessons. I shadowed a session a couple of weeks ago with some kind of year 2 kids, and then tried to control them as well because that was quite difficult. But some really exciting stuff that our staff become part of that you just don't think or know about. And then you've got, you know, IT department that have critical work in providing services, but also access digitally to our collections. And so, you know, you could work with our collections directly, as Sally mentioned, you know, whether that's in a reading room or as a curator. And then, like lots of companies, you'd have corporate services like the people team or finance or marketing or communications. So I guess, you know, the sheer size of the library also means that there's great development opportunities, and that then gives you an opportunity to work with lots of different types of people. And that's why it's such a, I think, an exciting place, definitely one that I'm still learning every day. And so for me, that's what keeps me here and excited, because your interactions are going to be completely different with who you speak to.
And there's such a diverse range of, you know, openings available, from digitization to, you know, more traditional archival roles. And actually, you know, you might know that you are interested in being at the British Library or working, but then to be able to join a team and have exposure to that and actually learn what other teams do, you know, gives people an opportunity to understand different routes and the different openings available. Gemma, how about you? I mean, what would you say perhaps might be, you know, challenges, opportunities available when starting a career?
I think certainly the big opportunity is to find out about all the different areas of the library. So we have what we call an open house that happens every month, and that's an opportunity for 3 teams in the library just to tell the rest of the organisation what they're doing, and that's always so interesting. So Jas was talking on the last one, but there was also we've had the community engagement team, research development, digitisation of digital maps. So it can be teams that are so different to what you're doing. And even if you're not getting directly involved, it's an opportunity to hear about people talking about their work and hearing how passionate they are about it. And then also that means that, you know, you can, if you want to find out more, everybody's always really friendly, and if they have the capacity, that they'll be happy to tell you more and maybe let you go on a tour with them or spend a bit of time shadowing them. And I think for these placements, that's definitely something I'm trying to achieve when I'm setting out what the trainees will be doing. I'm hoping that you're going to have a really broad range of teams to visit and skills to learn when you're here with us. So you do have a good understanding of what we do in all areas of the library, because it's so vast and so varied, rather than just staying in one area.
Brilliant. And maybe for Sally and Kim, I mean, what do you find, you know, are the challenging, tougher parts of your roles or navigating, you know, starting out?
Starting out, I would say it's a steep learning curve, which is partly due because they are so willing to take on people without prior experience. And the like Gemma said, the breadth of the library is a lot to learn. Like I feel like you go in knowing it's like an iceberg. You only see the tip, and then there's so much going on that you had no idea about. And but it does give a lot of, for instance, Kim was shadowing the marketing team last week, has been shadowing it recently because she's got an interest in copywriting. I'm shadowing the design team later this year. So the breadth of the library lends itself to a lot of opportunity, I would say, but it is a lot to learn.
And Kim, would you like to step in with any tips or just, challenges that you might have had that you've overcome or you were fearful about and, you didn't have to be?
I agree with the learning curve, especially because the library is such a unique place in that it's not a lending library, but then we also publish books and we do exhibitions and all these other things, which is a lot to wrap your head around, learning about different departments. But as Gemma says, we interact with a lot of different departments, so it becomes a bit easier, although still not confident talking about certain departments, because there's so many of them, and they are willing to explain about their job roles and go, have that talk with you if they have the time. I think my biggest challenge has been trying not to get overwhelmed with the opportunities and sign up for everything, because I need to manage my time. There is a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot of people willing to help. Some are advertised, some of you've gone to seek yourself, like shadowing with Sally. That was something that was arranged with Gemma and Tasha, and it was really interesting. And I didn't expect the amount of effort that was put into me just shadowing. It was a very, very interesting experience, and I got a lot out of it, even though the timing was not, as long. I've got a good understanding, resources, all sorts. I think everybody puts a lot of effort into the things they do, and everybody's passionate about what they do, and that really shows in the information that you get and the help that you can get with what you're doing.
That's really helpful, and I think we can safely kind of move on, having had a bit of background on all of your roles and challenges and benefits. We've got some questions that have come through, but these are a couple that came through over the last day or so. So one, I know we've sort of touched on this, but I think candidates are keen to know in terms of long-term prospects. So these are obviously short stint placements. But what are the prospects for permanent employment, or even perhaps conversion of apprenticeship to longer term roles and placements to longer term roles? Gemma, would you like to go for this one?
Of course. So yeah, the placement is just 5 weeks, and the way that we're designing it is so you're going to get experience in so many different departments. You're going to feel in a more comfortable position to apply for any of those, rather than keeping it in one department and then you maybe think, oh, I need to just get a job in that area. So there isn't going to be a straight map over onto a job, but what we will do is really spend some time working on your CV, on your application skills, interview skills. So when the right job comes along that you're really interested in, you'll feel comfortable to applying to that. So we will have apprenticeships. They are opening in July, and they'll be open for all the trainees to apply. And of course, for anyone to apply, even if you don't get accepted onto this training programme. And they are due to start in end of September, October. So it'll line up really nicely. If you do a training placement, you can then move on to an apprenticeship. But then you're also welcome to apply to any of our other job roles. So we have entry-level roles in digitisation, in visitor experience, business support. Those are just some examples of the sort of jobs that you can see at that entry level that might be suitable for those on placement.
Brilliant. And then when people are putting applications together, what does make you kind of, perk up? What kind of skills are you looking for? Or, what makes a standout application to you when you're reviewing applications?
I think one thing to start off is to have a good understanding of what we do at the British Library. Maybe the reverse of it is what makes us cringe a little bit when we see an application and someone tells us, they love going to their local library and reading books, and that's amazing, and it's often something that attracts people to us in the first place. But because we are very different from a lending library, if you could show us that you understand our variety, and we actually have 6 purposes that is one for you to have a look at So to have an understanding of what those 6 purposes are, so the custodianship side, the research side, business, learning, culture and international. So those are our 6 purposes. To understand that and maybe actually pick something out that really interests you and you want to talk about on your application or in the interview, as that's a reason why you're applying for this programme.
Yeah, and obviously there's no age limit to this. It's for, you know, school leavers, graduates, anyone, and anyone with limited work experience as well. So, you know, you don't have to come with, you know, a plethora of skills and experience. How about the actual role itself? So, you know, you're starting out, it's an entry-level role. How is that candidate supported? Is there a mentor scheme available? How would the rotation work? Talk us through you know, the operations of it once they start.
Yeah, of course. So you're going to be rotating around different departments. So I've kind of mentioned a few that that you're possibly going to be in. So digitisation, visitor experience, but also join some talks from other areas such as marketing or publishing. And the curators as well. We've got so many curators at the library. While it might be a bit challenging for you to do any work for them because they have been here a long time and have a lot of expertise, we're going to help you actually have a good understanding of their role. And that'll help you to then be able to talk about that in an interview, or also just actually do some further research on if that's a career that you want to pursue. So using that example of a curator, it does take a long time to get there. You know, there would be further study involved, there would be, you know, climbing that career ladder, but to find out that information from the start on what actually it entails will set you up to know if that's what you want to pursue and how you need to go about doing that. So kind of the skills that we're going to be building with you, those customer service skills, so understanding who our customers are and how to deal with our customers, you know, the general inquiries that we get, how we actually get an item, a book from our storage areas into the reading room so someone can access it, and how we help people select the research material that's most suitable for them, and also those general administration skills, so really transferable skills that is going to set you up for lots of different jobs in the library and also lots of different jobs elsewhere in the creative sector.
Great. And a few people are asking about flexibility. So talk us through, you know, location, flexibility, you know, even start dates. If people can't start around then, how flexible is flexible?
Yeah, so we do try to be as flexible as possible. But obviously the majority of staff work 9 to 5 roughly at the British Library. So all our activities, you know, whether that's shadowing, talks, trips out, they'll be between 9 and 4 o'clock Monday to Friday. So if sorry, not 9 and 4, 10 and 4 o'clock. So if you needed to start a bit later, it might be that maybe you miss out on that talk that day, but that's fine, we can agree that with you. But for you to get the most out of the experience, we'd say 10 till 4, Monday to Friday is the best bet. And it will be on site at St Pancras in London. And the reason why we've decided to do that is so you can learn a lot better from people when you're actually in the office with them. You can peek your head over the computer screen, ask a quick question, and it also helps us just create that community. So there's going to be 5 of you there, and it'll help you get to know each other a bit better. But we will be able to look at some flexible options. If every now and again you need to work from home that day, we provide a laptop so we can work through that. But generally speaking, it'll be working on site.
Okay. And is there any flexibility on accommodation if candidates are based regionally?
So there won't be any accommodation provided. So it's we'll be paying a bursary, so hopefully that will help anyone access this to make sure it is, you know, open to as many people as possible, but there won't be any accommodation or any extra support in that sense. So definitely do have a good look at, if you could travel to St Pancras, you know, how much is that going to cost you? How long is it going to take? Don't set yourself up for, you know, a 2-hour journey every day, as that's probably not going to be the most healthy thing for you to do every day. So do have a good look at where we're located and how you would travel to us.
Lovely. Just seeing if we've got some more questions. So, I mean, in terms of the actual interview process, do you want to talk us through how that's going to be structured?
Yes. So, Creative Access are kindly going to help us do some shortlisting, and then we will hand over to the early careers team, and we're going to be doing a fairly standard competency-based interview. So we'll just be asking a bit about your experiences, and that could be from school, in college, in your home life. It doesn't necessarily have to be experiences in a job that you've had before, as we completely understand that some of you applying might never have had a job, and this is an entry-level early careers position. So the sort of questions we might be asking are, tell us about a time when you've worked in a team, tell us about a time when you've had to adapt to a new situation. And we're looking for specific examples then. So like I said, they can be examples from anywhere, but it's really helpful for us to hear a specific example from your life that you can talk us through, and how you approach that situation. And then what we do is kind of relate that to the sort of situations you're going to be in your new position. So if you're able to deal with something well in the past, we can make a good estimation that you're going to be able to deal with those similar situations in the new role that you're going to be in.
Yeah. So maybe Sally, Kim, casting you back to August when you were putting your application together, is there anything you'd like to, you know, any tips or guidance that you could provide to our participants today?
Something I was thinking about was a question I remember from the application process was, what are you most proud of? And of course, I wished immediately I'd climbed a mountain or cured some disease or something, but I hadn't. And I had a think, and I would really recommend people be honest, because that was an opportunity. I think my answer was not having graduated from uni, but having got there at all. Because as I say, coming from a low income background, I was independent at 16, and I would frequently try to attend college and basically burn out and have to leave college, because being in your late teens and trying to do both things was very hard. And I included that. I included those failures. And so I said, when I finally did get to uni, which was, as I say, at 25, it meant so much to me. And yet, so I had included those failures, which would have been very tempting to leave out, but it did, I think. So just the thing I was actually most proud of was a level of resilience and determination and just keeping going with it. And it told them something about myself as well, that thing about my background, that I had been independent for a long time. And my life hadn't been the usual route of school, A-levels, uni, coming back to the parents in the summer holidays, and then going straight from uni to work. It had been just a little different for me, which it is for many people, and it's easy to forget. And yeah, I remember that quite vividly, just because I remember knowing I was taking a bit of a risk, but obviously it worked out. So I would recommend anyone be honest and realize,
not to feel the pressure of having to put something just to, you know, to make it, you know, more than it needs to be, because it's not always the case. Kim, how about you?
It's funny that you mentioned that one, Sally, because mine was quite similar. I remember that question as well, and the thing I was most proud of was just navigating COVID, my answer was nothing to do with my work experience at all. It was my personal one. And I think it was a very, obviously it was a big challenge for everybody. I have a young son, so that was also fun to accommodate that as well. So, there was a lot of changes, as everyone remembers, from COVID. So I think navigating that was my biggest accomplishment. And I was unsure whether or not that would even get me an interview, because I was like, it's not, work related, it's not, educational related, it's just my personal background. And I think the acceptance that not everything works in your favor, because I'd been working in retail, and then while I was in retail, I was thinking, I want to get out, but I also want to do something now. And I started doing a nail technology course, and then COVID hit. So my idea was to do it as a side, but because it took so long to recover from COVID, I did not want to get into that sector. And I was like, I need to do it all again. So my biggest thing is, don't be afraid to say that you had to start again. Don't be afraid to say that you've made a mistake. As long as you can say, I learned from this, and this is what I learned, put it in, because not everything goes smoothly. I am a testament to that. Not everything works out, but if you learn something, it's always good to include. I don't think we should be ashamed of things that work out. I think sometimes that just makes us stronger and better people.
And on that note, what would you say are your top 1 or 2 things that you're getting out of your apprenticeship? And I know obviously these are placements, but what are you getting out of your apprenticeships?
My biggest thing is confidence. I've got a lot of experience in customer service, but I've always, especially in retail, I've always had that, there's big, this is the big boss coming in, and, look down, don't really speak, and so forth. And, Jas is head of people. So and even to see me in St. Pancras, she'll say hello. And that really surprises me, because I'm like, as if you recognize me just as one of your underlings. But I think that's a key thing that's helped me build my confidence. I can approach people not really caring where they come from or their background, or what job position they have, and scary. I don't feel that way. I'm quite comfortable to approach anybody at any level, and I think that's taken quite a long time to get to this stage, but the library's definitely helped with that.
Right. I think Gemma, did you want to add, and Jas, did you want to add kind of the last kind of parting words? Because we're coming to the end of the session, so it'd be great to finish on just something you want to share with the participants that we might not have covered.
Very briefly, I was just going to say what Sally and Kim brought up with those questions is that very naturally they really appeal to our values. So that's another one for you to have a look out for. So acting with openness and honesty is really important to us. So make sure you do feel comfortable when you're filling out that application to be honest about your situation, and show us how maybe you've adapted to different circumstances that you've been in. Jas, do you have any?
Yeah, probably just to echo some of that, and just, be yourself. What we're looking for is really people that have passion and interest. They want a desire for this. It's not about having the longest CV on the planet with loads and loads of experience already, as Sally's already talked about, and Gemma, and Kim. You can come from all sorts of backgrounds and experiences, and we're looking for potential. We're looking for someone with that energy and enthusiasm. So when you are putting cover letters and the rest together, just think about that. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is it's a fantastic place to come and experience, and there's always opportunity, whether that's apprenticeships, whether that's permanent roles as well. Again, we're a big organisation, so it's a great step in the door.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. The applications are coming through thick and fast, so there's definitely a lot of interest out there, and hopefully with all of the guidance and tips that you've provided participants today, people will feel more confident in putting an application together without that pressure of thinking that they need to be a certain person or have certain skills. That's absolutely not the case. We've actually emailed this recording, and we'll be able to share that But we hope that, you know, it's given participants food for thought, and we'll be following up with a feedback form following the recording to just help us make sure that the sessions we deliver are great and valuable. And so it takes 30 seconds to complete. So really hope that you'll be able to complete that for us. In terms of the application deadline, I know I said it before, applications are coming through. We've got till the 5th of July to get your applications through, and head to our jobs and opportunities section of the website to put yourself forward and throw your hat in the ring. And if you have any questions, we're always on hand at Creative Access in the recruitment team to support you as best you can. We run CV sessions, and you know, we can help support you as much as possible. And yeah, do keep in touch with us and our career advice and opportunities. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok if you aren't already. So thank you so much to Jas, Gemma, Kim, Sally for your advice and time and feedback, and I hope that yeah, people have just found it really useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.